Hey, this is Kyle Crawford from Strong Dads. Strong Dads podcast would love to thank the Crimers Beer House for coming alongside of us. The Crimers Beer House was started in 1982 by the Crimer family, and since that time, they have definitely become a Cincinnati favorite. So if you're looking for an incredible meal in an incredible setting, definitely go down to Route 128 and check out the Crimers Beer House.
Welcome to Strong Dads. This is Merle Hutchinson alongside of Kyle Crawford, getting ready to hit another Strong Dad show, and we have a guest in the house today.
We do.
I'm glad we have a guest. I'm tired of looking at your ugly mug.
It's tough with just you and I trying to carry
What's
the
with this?
load here.
I'm not shaving for November, and all of a sudden you come in. If you look really close at
really
the camera,
close, zoom
I can
way
see
in.
you got like 3 peach fuzzes kind of hanging off.
This is 10 days of growth right here, people. 10 days.
Enough about you.
Okay, yeah.
We'd like to welcome Coach Jeff Friday to the Strong Dads podcast. And so if you don't know Jeff, if you're in the Cincinnati area, you probably have seen a lot of the results of his work.
Yeah.
If you followed the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah. So Jeff comes to us. Actually, I think, is today your release day on your book? Or
it was actually yesterday.
Yeah, so Jeff has written a book called Built for Winning. But and we're going to get into a lot of that, okay? Yep. But also, Jeff has some history. I believe it's 21 years of coaching in the NFL with the Cincinnati Bengals, the Minnesota Vikings, and
Baltimore Ravens.
Ravens when you were Super Bowl champions.
That's correct. I was a head strength coach for the Baltimore Ravens from 1999 through 2007, and in year 2000, we won the Super Bowl that year.
We won't hold that against you.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you guys out there won't either. If you're a big Cincinnati Bengals fan, Jeff, he did coach with the Bengals. So
yeah. Do you wear your ring?
I do not.
Yeah.
It's in a safe deposit box. It's. My wife calls it gaudy because it's
pretty gaudy. Yeah.
Hard to get my hand in out of the pocket. And plus, at the end of the day, it's a piece of jewelry. Which for me, if we're talking the Super Bowl. It's about memories,
right.
relationships.
Yeah,
the jewelry is a nice reminder.
It's a trophy that fits on your finger.
And it happened really. It was a 2000 season, so that's 30 some years ago, right? Or 21
years ago.
Yeah, feels like 30 years, but just it's so far past.
Jeff, I think you should put it on and walk in the house and say, look at your wife and say, do you know who I am?
Do you know who
see this?
Yeah. I'll get one of these.
Next week, we're going to have Jeff's wife on the show.
That's right.
And we're gonna
right.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool. Well, we do thank you and appreciate your willingness to come in. And part of Jeff's story also is there's a faith component to Jeff. People always kind of wonder, like, how you come into a guest, how you find a guest. Well, I actually met Jeff, and I don't know if you remember all of that, but I brought my finisher, a piece of equipment, down to the Cincinnati Bengals, and met you and Chip Morton at the time. And Chip was kind of business doing his part of it. But afterward, I don't know if you remember, you go, hey, you want to take a little tour of the stadium and stuff? And you took me all around through the locker rooms and the weight room and then out onto the field and through the tunnel and stuff. And I was like, that dude's just pretty nice. Like, that's a good guy. And then I think we linked up on LinkedIn just casually. And I started to notice occasionally that you would be posting stuff about faith, just dropping something with Jesus or faith. And I think that speaks to what we are to be doing. I'm like, why would I hide that, right? Yep. Why would I put that under a basket? So let's get it out there. And then when I saw you writing the book, I'm like, I'm going to reach out to him. And so that's kind of how I followed up.
Yeah, it's great to be here. And I think when you're in the NFL, you take it for granted that you're in a closed environment all the time. And you just know that environment. So when you have a guest like yourself who came in, I just wanted to show you that, because it's this is the environment. This is see the workplace and all that, because we get so entrenched in it. We see the players and the cars and this and that, but when you're on the outside, it's good to
Do you remember when you?
I do. I don't remember the tour though, but I remember the finisher.
Yeah. I was gonna say. I was gonna ask if you remember Merle running out of the tunnel like I'm the man. Right?
Well, even I can't run much anymore, but you have when you walk out on the field, you have a desire to sprint right up this. It's just like I just want to go run right now.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing about football. Is the energy. And as you mentioned, when you come on the field, the desire to sprint, that is what an NFL game, the energy and the effort and the crowd, it is exhilarating.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
It's big. I mean, it's big time.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't really understand that.
Well, and the thing is, though, it all boils down to just being a game. Mm-hmm. And I remember we're playing Pittsburgh on I think it was a Sunday night football. We're playing Pittsburgh, and one of my roles as the assistant strength coach with the Bengals was to go into the 2-minute warning of halftime to get nutrition bars ready.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so I go in the locker room, and there on the TV, it's Jim Nance and I think it was Phil Simms, and then it hits you, boom.
Wow, like we're on TV.
It's big time.
Yeah.
It's a national game, Otherwise, it's just a game,
Right,
so,
right.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to get into Jeff's story, Jeff's book, but also a lot of what his messaging is behind all of that. All right. But before we do, we better thank some people.
Thank our sponsors. I like it. Strong Dads, we'd like to thank Crimer's Beer House for coming alongside of us, located on Route 128. Go down there, check them out. Let Mark know we sent you down there. Check out the cool setting, amazing food, and awesome. Thanks so much for those guys.
Yeah. Also, we'd like to thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions for coming alongside Strong Dads and also being strong supporters of Rock Solid Families. Casey's is the place to go for any of your landscaping or hardscape needs. Also, their gift shop is pretty amazing. We're coming into the Christmas holiday season, so for any gifts or any decoration things for your house or your yard, check out Casey's Outdoor Solutions outside of Lawrenceburg, Indiana.
Good deal.
All right. So let's do a little bit of background. Okay? Because like we were talking before we hit the record button, how does a dude get into the NFL? Mm-hmm. And do not be offended by this. But it's not like you look like Hulk Hogan or something like, I'm going to train you guys. Yeah. You just look like a regular guy. So tell us about you. Tell us about how this story unfolds.
So the story unfolds, I had a passion for strength training and a passion for sports.
Okay.
And that leads to the profession of a strength and conditioning coach. Mm-hmm. And I had the good fortune of coming into the profession when it wasn't so competitive. Mm. This is the late 80s, early 90s. And so after graduate school, went to Illinois State for graduate school, I was hired as an assistant strength coach at Northwestern University, the Big Ten.
Okay, yeah.
And my primary responsibility was men's and women's basketball.
Okay. Mm.
And so I asked the head basketball coach, "Hey, do you mind if I travel with the basketball team?"
Yeah.
And sure, this is way back when this was just a budgeting profession.
Yeah.
And so whatever city we would travel to, I'd always try to meet a strength coach in that city to take the information back to the athletes that I worked with. Mm. So we played the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and I was able to meet the strength coach of the Minnesota Vikings when we played the Gophers, met with them for an hour at the facility. Mm-hmm. Wow. And then I said, "Hey, would you mind if I come and watch you train guys during training camp?" I was at Northwestern, Chicago to Minneapolis. It was about a 5+ hour drive.
Yeah.
He said, "Sure." So I go up there the following summer, and I go to training camp, and I'm expecting to sit down and just watch him train athletes. And his system was based on 2 players coming every 5 minutes to lift. So the head coach, Denny Green, gave the strength coach a 4-hour block in the afternoon to lift the players.
Wow.
He took away a practice. So it's a form of recovery.
Right.
And so the schedule was based on seniority. So the younger guys would lift early in the afternoon. The veteran guys would come in later because that way they could take a nap and rest. And then when their lifting was done, kind of go to dinner, go to meetings. It was set up for the veterans.
Yeah.
So because of that system with 2 players coming every 5 minutes and the individual attention required, you need help. part-time help. Well, this day the part-time help didn't come.
Ah.
So here's Jeff Friday, strength coach at Northwestern, an assistant, expecting to sit down, and all of a sudden I'm thrust into. I'm in it. So I'm in it, and at the end, one of the last players to come in was a player by the name of Chris Carter, an NFL Hall of Fame wide receiver.
Yeah.
And if you've seen Chris on the sports shows and all, he's a boisterous character.
Yeah.
And so I ended up spending half the workout with him because he was one of the last guys in. So instead of me manning two stations, I spent most of the time with him. And so the weight room was actually a tent located next to the practice field. That's what they did in those days. You go to the college, put a tent up, put the equipment there. So Chris Carter is walking outside of the tent to leave, and he yells to the head strength coach. The guy's name is Steve Wetzel. That's the head strength coach. He goes, "Hey, Wetzel, you got to hire that guy." So sure enough, 2 years later, I got a phone call from Steve Wetzel of the Minnesota Vikings, and I was the second candidate that was on his list, and the first candidate turned the job down.
Oh, man.
And I was offered the job.
Yeah.
And so that's how I got into the NFL. And so I think the story there is, I know back then my heart was not to get a job. My heart was to take information and take it back to the athletes. I think, though, that we put ourselves in position.
Yeah.
And once we put ourselves in position, then let the chips fall where they may. And that's how I entered in the NFL, and I was there. I got hired in 1996.
Okay.
And 1996, I was
with the
there,
Vikings.
With the Vikings,
Mm-hmm.
as the assistant strength coach, and so I was there in 1996, 97, 98. We're in the playoffs all 3 years. 1998, we draft a wide receiver by the name of Randy Moss.
Never heard of him.
Randy Moss. You have Randy Moss on one end, Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer Chris Carter on the other end.
Yeah.
You have a running back by the name of Robert Smith that played Ohio State who could score from anywhere on the field.
Yeah.
And the starting quarterback by the name of Brad Johnson, he got hurt early in the season, so Randall Cunningham comes in. He's your quarterback for most of the year. So that season we went 15-1.
Wow.
And we set up a record for the most points scored in the history of the National Football League.
Wow.
And so our offensive coordinator was Brian Billick, and that propelled him to the top of the list of head coaching candidates. And then when he got the head coaching job for the Baltimore Ravens, he knew he needed a strength coach. So the strength program with the Vikings was a very reputable program.
Yeah.
And I was a third assistant. So all the guys before me got NFL head strength coach jobs.
Man.
So I just kind of filled in that gap of credibility because of the guys before me, and I was offered a head strength coach job with the Baltimore Ravens, and we won the Super Bowl in 2000. So that's how I got into the
That
NFL.
is amazing.
And so I was actually, when I was a head strength coach, I was 32 years old.
Yeah.
And when we won the Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens, we had, I think, 22 players over 30 years old. So here I am, and I'm much more equipped as a human being now than I was back then. But here I am, 32 years old, 31 years old, leading grown men.
Yeah.
And so that's one of those things where, through faith, God is not going to put you in a position that you can't handle.
Right.
I leaned on.
You might think at times like, what am I doing here?
Yeah,
right?
you might, yes. But I literally, and I recall back, I really leaned on that to get me through that. There's a purpose for me being here, despite my insecurities and despite all the conflicts that result from here's this young guy as a strength coach.
Who's he?
Who's he?
Yeah.
So
Okay, so wow, that is a pretty cool story.
That's pretty cool.
Because it's not like you came from some strength pedigree that automatically gave you a ticket into the NFL. And
right place at the right time.
Yeah. But again, like, just doors open based off of relationships. Like Chris Carter kind of started some of that. You would, at that moment, you would have never guessed like that was going to be happening, or it was going to propel anything differently, right? But that's cool. But I have a question for you then. So you came up. interested in athletics, working with athletes, yourself being one, and then training at the college level. What's it like to coach an NFL athlete?
Best
versus,
of the best.
Yeah, the best of the best and big dudes, right?
Yeah.
Like, probably you don't give them a whole lot of grief, or do you?
Well, no, you can, but it's through relationship.
Yeah.
It's all through relationship. And that's one thing I had to learn over the years. You cannot. I shouldn't say you cannot, but you're more effective if you just don't dictate. Mm-hmm. You're more effective if you get to know the person, know what their needs are, find a common bond, add value. I think at the end of the day, an NFL player wants to know that you can help them or you're adding value to them.
Yeah.
And so that's, to me, that's the most important thing in dealing with any athlete, really.
Right.
But with a professional athlete, they have a lot of life experiences before they even get to you.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so you have to account for those life experiences, I feel, with that relationship. And it's a mutual partnership. That's the way I approach it.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't at one time. When I was younger, I didn't, and it got me in trouble.
Yeah.
When I tried to dictate.
Yeah.
And so, but that's the better way. The better way is to come, I feel, with humility. Humility meaning listening. That's what I mean. That's what I mean by humility. There's three principles that I try to adhere to in leadership. The first one is be authentic. Just be real.
Yeah.
Don't be phony. Don't be fake. Don't have a relationship because you want something. Just be authentic. The second is be humble. Have humility.
Yeah.
Take away the pride as best as you can. Try to remove yourself a little bit, and that's gonna make the situation better. The third is to have courage.
Yeah.
Courage to do what's right. And believe me, as a young strength coach in the National Football League, that was by far the hardest thing for me, was to have courage to tell a credentialed human being, the best in the world.
Right.
He could be a Hall of Famer.
Right.
He could be a Pro Bowl. Just by the fact of him being in the NFL, he's the best at what he does.
Yeah.
For me to correct, or if you're late, to confront. The courage aspect was the hardest for me in the NFL. But then over time, I became better at it, because it's like a muscle. You have to do it to get better at it.
Yeah.
And you have to confront your fears to do that.
Yeah.
So for me in coaching, if we go full circle to being a dad, my kids, I have complete courage with my kids, because I know that I'm training their heart. It's up to me to train them in the path that's right.
Yeah.
So I am on top of them, like, just their courage is not an issue, because I know the end result.
Yeah.
So for me, what I had to do in looking at professional athletes, I almost had to look at them as my son.
Sure.
Because I had to look at them in that lens of love.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's easy to okay, I'm gonna look over here.
Right.
Or I'm not going to address this situation. But if I look out of a lens of love, within there's truth.
Yeah.
There's courage.
Yeah.
There's all these things that you'll do. And as a matter of fact, one time I was in the weight room and I asked a player to do something. It was an exercise. And he's a big offensive lineman, 320 pounds, sitting on the bench, just looking at me. Wasn't moving. There's a silence. All of a sudden,
little tension in the room.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, what do I do?
And Jeff's about ready to get his butt kicked.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, what do I do? And it's like, okay, who's going to win this? And so I said, I called him by name. I said, hey, I would ask my son to do this exact same thing. And I said, and I love my son.
Yeah.
So I didn't tell him directly that I loved him, but I insinuated that I loved him, and this was in his best interest.
Yeah.
And so he stared at me, still a little pause, and he got up and he went and did what I asked. And I was being real. I was being authentic. It wasn't a ploy. How do I get to it? It was truth.
Yeah.
It was truth.
Yeah.
So
That relationship aspect you're talking, do you find in that industry of the strength coach in the NFL, do you find that other strength coaches miss that mark? Because in the NFL, from what I mean, obviously outside looking in, I'm not experienced it, but I'd imagine, again, you're talking the best athletes in the world. They're looking for the slightest edge, right? Anything that they can do to get the slightest edge. Obviously, you've had success in the strength and conditioning world in the NFL. Did you find that it was that relational aspect that got you to where you were at?
I think that's a universal theme. I think relationship, whether you're a strength coach, head coach, position coach, that is the critical element, because it can show up, and you as a fan of the game, you can watch and watch the players, and if a relationship is going south based on performance, based on these different factors. So relationship is critical. But and it took me a while in my journey to realize that it wasn't about the X's and O's.
Right.
Sure.
Right.
It's not about that.
Right.
It's about the people that are behind the X's and O's. And on my journey, I had to come to that realization,
Because they talk all the time, like you'll hear a broadcaster talking like, what's the locker room like for those guys? Do they have that bond outside of the football field or outside of whatever the court? And I think to what you're talking about, that relational aspect.
The bond is big. Winning's big.
Oh yeah.
Winning helps the bond. I mean, that's
winning solves a lot of problems.
Winning solves a lot of problems, and we know that, right? Like it creates a different emotion. It's a positive emotion, and losing obviously pulls that down.
Yeah, because then you get to the blame game, and when you lose, like whose fault is it? Because that it's hard for men to take that ownership. Like, well, maybe I had a part in that winning. Like, well, we're all in this together, right?
Hovering around what you're talking about a little bit, Jeff. Over the years, I've coached a lot. I've watched a lot of coaches, and you always try to figure out, like, well, what is my personality? Because being authentic, like, if my personality, if I'm not a yeller and a screamer and a fist pounder, and I try to do that, you lack authenticity, and eventually people see through that. But it feels almost like when I first started coaching. My first coaching experience was with a girls' team, at the high school level. Didn't go well. Because I came in with, come on, we're going to do this. This is what we're doing. And if you want to see that blow up in your face, just try that with a group of girls. Right? Because you have to go a totally different approach. And so I learned that, and I learned it the hard way. But I also learned it wasn't quite my personality. I do find myself kind of in the middle. When I get fired up, I do like to be more boisterous and kind of get out there. Yeah. But my general personality is like, hey, let's just do this the right way. Let's just and so in the weight room, I see head coaches. Some of them are yellers and screamers, but behind the scenes. Like, the head coach is a different status. Like, he might be able to get by with that. But in the weight room, are there a lot of guys at the NFL level that are yellers and screamers versus more of what I'm seeing in your personality? Like, let's have some relationship here.
I think at the NFL level, the answer to your question is no. There are not yellers and screamers. I think it's the player will see through you. Yeah. When you deal with a professional athlete, you have to have your I's dotted and T's crossed. You have to have your game on. Yeah. If your game is not on, you may only get a few instances like that, and they may dismiss you. But through a relationship, you can always come back. Right. But I think sometimes the yellers and the screamers are ploys. Now, if that's your true personality,
right, you're wired with that energy,
then you're okay. Yeah. But if you're doing that out of character. Like when I was a young strength coach, I was using foul language, talking tough. Yeah. All the things that are the persona of a strength coach. And that wasn't me. Yeah. And then with that, there's even an internal conflict. You don't feel good about yourself because, okay, why am I doing that? And, players, I've even had one player walked in the weight room. He was a Hall of Fame player. And I yelled across the weight room, "Hey!" And I called him by name. I don't do that for anybody else. That's not being authentic. And he asked me later on, why did you yell my name across the weight room? And I said, well, I was happy to see you, which was a truth, but it was out of out of a character.
Right.
So you learn real quick. You will be corrected at the highest level.
Yeah.
Because you can't pull faster on them.
No.
That's that authentic piece you're talking about.
Yeah.
Being authentic with these guys. They feel it out real quick.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to keep rolling because we got lots of questions.
Yeah.
But we do have a couple like two boys sitting there poking their head into the locker room. Like, can you share any wild, crazy stories of how about like strength feats that you were like, wow, that's crazy?
Well,
I love strength coaching.
So
I like strongest man competitions and stuff like that.
Yeah, so that's a hard question to answer because the reality is that they're all the most gifted human beings in the world.
Yeah.
And if you think about the sport of football, okay, football is the 5th highest injury profession in the world. So what that looks like is that NFL hit feels like if you were standing there and getting hit by a small car at 5.5 miles per hour, that's what a hit feels like. Or if you stand in a crossbar, which is 10 feet high, and do a swan dive into the turf, that's what it feels like. So imagine that 20 or 30 times per game.
Oh my gosh!
Also, it's the 6th highest profession as far as stress. These human beings are stressed out. Every time you walk into the facility, you're judged.
Yeah.
And there's always somebody who wants your job.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Always someone who wants your job. And so the reality is you're dealing with an injured, stressed out human being during the season. But it always amazed me that on a Monday after a Sunday game, the ability of them to lift weights was mind-blowing as far as squatting with 315 pounds, 3 plates on the bar, maybe sometimes 4 plates, but just the ability to work through because that is what the culture tells you to do, especially at a young age, coming through. So there are some feats. Like I remember there's a Hall of Fame offensive lineman named Randall McDaniel who I was with the Minnesota Vikings. His back strength, he was so strong. There was a machine we had that, he was lifting 100 pounds more than anybody else doing a pull down. And that was a gift. That strength was a gift because he used that as an offensive lineman. So you have to, when you look at those athletes, you put them into a separate category than you look to somebody else, if that makes sense, because everything they do is. But I'll say this, they all have their unique gift. So as far as feats of strength, there are those athletes, but there are some that maybe don't have that, but they all have a gift. They all have a gift that makes them the best in the world at what they do. And it may be simply judging a ball.
Right, yeah.
It may be simply dealing with pain. Some people can't deal with pain, so they get weeded out, where others, it's their mind, they can segment and they can deal with all these different things. So it's hard to even quantify.
That's an interesting point that you bring because, one of the most frustrating things about watching your team in the NFL is the team that you see on day one is not probably going to be the team that you see in the playoffs in terms of injury and just stresses and things that break them down. And one of the things that I think is amazing from what you're talking about is the resilience, the ability to just keep playing. I don't think we understand that from sitting on our couch, and why isn't that guy able to do that? Well, half the times they are playing hurt. And I think we also minimize the stress factor. Like when I got way too many things on my to-do list, I start to freak out. But these guys, and their career, their lifespan, a dog's is what, 8, 9, 10 years. Theirs is what, like a year and a half, 2 years?
I think
3
average
years?
is 3. Yeah, 3 years.
So they got, it's like, I got to get done now. I got to get it done now. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, and when we talk about the weight room, we train when we're healthy.
Yeah.
We train when we feel good. Like, okay, if I have a cold, I may not train that day.
I'm going to back off,
But these guys, they train no matter what. And they practice with injury. They lift with injury. So they deal with it. So imagine if you have something bothering you, but you still got to push. That's their life.
Push through it.
Through it to perform. And if they don't play, someone's going to replace them. So the pressure is there for them to step on the field.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is. I think I don't know who I heard this maybe on the radio. I think it was like a college coach that said basically first day of practice he looked at all the players and said today will be the only day this entire year where everyone's healthy.
Yeah.
And that's a crazy mindset to even I mean it's hard to comprehend putting yourself in a position. It's like it's not a matter if it's going to happen. It's when am I going to get hurt and to what degree, right? And that's crazy to for you to talk about how those guys just push through that. That's the norm, right? That they've just grown accustomed to the idea of injury and then pushing through that injury. And I've never thought about having an injury and being able to change your mindset to be like, all right, I can still push through that. That's just that's a whole nother level of thinking of athleticism. Like that's crazy.
You know, you're kind of a sissy anyway. I can't see you pushing through anything. I had to go there. He's a fireman. He's going in and out of flaming buildings.
Right, yeah.
I'm the sissy sitting here, right here.
We all know that.
I do want to go down a little bit of a road here, Jeff, just because we mentioned people from the outside, I think, always wonder what a locker room is like in terms of chemistry, as Kyle mentioned earlier. So over your years, I think of some players as just good dudes, and I think of some of them as little prima donnas and drama kings or queens or whatever, and some of them just like quiet, humble workers. Like when you walk into a locker room, the NFL locker room, the Bengals, Vikings, Ravens, or whatever, do you notice a higher percentage of guys who are drama kings or queens or prima donnas, or no? These guys, for the most part, these guys are down and dirty hard workers. At that level, NFL level.
At that level, when I walk into a locker room, I see men who have hurts, who have gifts and talents. They're very special at one specific quality. One, if you're an offensive tackle, you may have quick feet and long arms, and that allows you to play in the National Football League for 10 years and be really good. That's it. So I see human beings now that want to be loved, want to be cared for. The personality types, you have them all. You have the insecurities, no matter what setting you're in, and there is a ton of insecurity. It's an insecure profession.
Oh yeah,
from the coaches to the players. So you're dealing with insecure human beings.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of reaction and fear, isn't there?
That's absolutely true. Yes, and so you're going to get the divergence of personalities, just like anywhere. But to me, just to realize that they're human, they're frail, and they're just like me and you. Yeah. But they have been slotted or selected for this role because of a very, very specific gift that they have.
Yeah, you talk about the specificity of that, but how we can become so great because of that gift, but it doesn't always extrapolate well into life after. Right? Like, this is their chance. They got their 3, 4, 5 years. This is their chance. So that in itself, to me, creates a lot of fear. Oh my gosh, I'm great at this. But it also could be so misleading. Well, I'm going to be great at everything I do because I'm great in the NFL, but all of a sudden I transfer out into real life and things. I'm just a regular schmo.
Yeah, it's and that's where I think segueing into the book I wrote is called Built for Winning, the number 4, because there's these 4 blocks, these 4 components that build a strong foundation: the physical, the mental, the social, and the spiritual. So you can have this specific gift like we're talking about with a professional athlete, but yet be deficient in some of these other areas. And so that's going to affect your performance, not only in life, but off the field. Yeah. And so I'll say this, too, is you hear about on and off the field, there's a line. You hear okay, there's a line. Well, that line is man-made. There is no line. You take you and all your stuff, the good and the bad, with you when you step on the field. Yeah. You take it with you when you're at the dinner table.
Yeah.
You take it with you when you're in the office. Whatever setting that is. And so to your point, how do you build yourself up to win in life?
Yeah.
It's by paying attention to those areas to give you the best chance of success.
Yeah.
Is that
yeah?
Make,
well,
yeah.
let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the book. All right. So I do want to ask you a question. Now let's lead into that. Right. The faith component and the book. So where have you always been a man of faith, or did your experiences in the NFL go, I need something more, and you dug in there? How did your faith walk begin that led you to lean on Christ?
So my faith walk began in the home, born and raised a Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, went to church on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm a Catholic boy.
Mm-hmm.
Realizing that I wasn't living that life. That wasn't enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Northwestern University, or I worked at Northwestern University. I worked for a godly man.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, in my mid-20s, I was like, I'm not.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not there.
Yeah.
I'm not there. I get into the NFL, the Minnesota Vikings. All of a sudden, I see these guys that are professed Christians. And I watch them. And I start asking questions. And they answer these questions. And I go to a Bible study. I go to a chapel before the game. So now I start this journey. And so for me, it was being in the right environment. So being in the right, so I resonate with being in the right environment, because that's what happened to me. Once I was in the right environment with people I respected professionally, and they were able to answer my questions, and I saw their life and they built into me, that's when my heart started to turn. So then I go to Baltimore as the head strength coach, and I actually hired Chip as my assistant, a godly man. He answered more of my questions and was a role model for me. There was a player by the name of Matt Stover, a kicker in the National Football League, I think has in the top 10 is for accuracy, played a long time. He built into me. So then I had people really building into me. So then I go to church, and they say, hey, if you want to bring Christ to your life, I'm like, okay, I'll do that. I'll do that. I say it. Yeah. I say what was recited. I'm a changed human being. I was changed from that point forward. And then it's a journey of, okay, now, who is this person? Jesus,
right.
Here's the body. Okay, then it's a journey of relationship. Yes, yes. So that's in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's my journey
Wow.
of where I came to be. And then what I can tell you about that is that my wife, who did not have a strong background growing up in faith, she saw something spiritual in me that was attractive to her.
Yeah.
So as a result of my transformation, she became transformed. So now that's two people. So we go into a marriage of not really knowing,
not denying, but not living.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and that marriage could go either way. But then we started growing closer together that way.
Yeah.
And then we have kids. And so then we bring a foundation of faith to not only our marriage, but also as a father and as a mother.
Yeah.
And so then that's the foundation that we raise our children under. And so now we see that bearing fruit as they're older.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I love it.
So if I can
sounds really familiar, doesn't it?
Well, if I can give an example, okay. Yeah. So my son is a freshman at UC, and he chose UC, University of Cincinnati. He chose the University of Cincinnati because it's close to home. They have a really good business school, and he did high school football. He was a video guy for high school football, and he connected with the video manager at UC. So he started doing video as a freshman in the summer.
Wow. Yeah.
Because he built a relationship. That's what he wanted. So he went as a career choice. That's going to be a career choice.
Yeah.
And he was going to get scholarship money.
Yeah.
10 days before training camp, there was a conference rule passed that everybody has to be vaccinated. So my son had to make a decision. What do I do? So he's because it's a family of faith. He processed it, consulted with friends and all that, and I thought he was going to go get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he's going to go and live the dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
He decided not to. So the reason he went to UC, a big part of that reason, he just gave that up. Gave football up for now anyway.
Yeah.
And he filled it with other things that were purposeful in his life. And is at peace. And that is through a foundation of faith. And I'm looking as a father, I'm like, geez, man, I don't know. I don't know if I could have been like that. I'm like,
you're missing an opportunity, son. What are you doing?
Yeah, because I know being in the profession, I know what that environment can do to your development and growth. I know what he could contribute to. I know.
Yeah.
But he gives it up and he's at peace. I'm like, man, that's okay, son.
Maturity.
Okay, yes.
Maturity
but
and faith.
That's an outgrowth. Years later, I mean, he's a freshman. That comes to fruition, which, and that's what that foundation can give you.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Jeff, your story just rings so true with our story. My wife and I, very similar path. And it is the reason why we have rock solid families. Okay, just to kind of share that with you. Rock solid families is based off of Matthew 7:24. Build this house on the rock. Okay, the idea that you can build it on a sand or you can build it on rock. Storms are going to come either way. But one's going to get washed away and one's going to stand. And so we have kids as well, and it has been so awesome to see how they have used that foundation. All right. And so some of the training, without getting into specifics, our older sons are into some pretty heavy duty special ops type stuff. And the older one went through the initial part of that training, and it's just a total beatdown. Okay. And I was talking to Kyle about it a little bit this morning, and when he got done, he was totally shredded. His body was shredded. He was chafed all over. He was a bloody mess, okay? And my wife asked, how did you make it through that? And he just, he talked a little bit and stuff. And later, he sent us a picture of the hat that he wore through training. And under the hat, he flipped the hat up and he just took a picture of it and it said, "God is bigger." And of course, my wife just starts crying. She's just crying. And the idea that, I don't know how like you talked about courage before. Like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Like, this guy could kick my butt or this guy I got to confront, but I know it's the right thing. Putting ourselves aside and resting in that God has got you when you're doing it authentically with his intention in your heart. It is just amazing. What a gift to give to our kids, right? What a gift. And so I thank you for sharing that story. And I don't want to own the show any more than I need to here, but that's what it just kicked my mind. Like, this is not for you and I specifically. This is for generations.
Absolutely.
It is for generations. And so when we see it go into our generation, now that son I'm speaking of, he's got 3 kids. And so now he's building into those kiddos. And they're tough, brave little guys. But at some point, they're going to have to know they can't do it all. They're going to have to rely on him, on God. Right. So anyway.
Can I interject one thing?
Absolutely.
So we decided as a family to get baptized. So baptism is a profession of faith in front of the church. Okay? So my daughter, who's 21, this was, I think, 3 years ago, she was already baptized. So it was my son, myself, and my wife getting baptized in the church. So we go through the process, and in baptism they put you in a tank and you get up, and I go to my wife, and I got the most passionate kiss I have ever received from my wife. In that moment, it's in front of a church.
Hey guys, if you want your love life,
So then it hit me that it's that foundation for the family that extends. It's not about just me. It is,
right.
But as you're saying, it's about the legacy of your family
Yep.
and the direction of your whole family.
Yes. Yep.
And that moment, with that passionate kiss, okay, this means this is up there. This is better than the wedding kiss.
Right.
I mean, we're talking.
Yeah.
This is the best kiss I've ever had.
Yeah.
From that act.
Yeah.
That act. So that's how important it can be as a husband and as a father.
Right.
That's what we can do for our families just by the decisions whether your decision is I'm not saying it's just the decisions and choices that we make will affect the legacy of the generations.
Right.
The talk, we have had many parts of our show talking about the importance of dads, of men leading in this. And, our strength, whether we know it or not, permeates through the house more than feminine strength does. Well, and you can take that wrong if you want. That's just the bottom line. And we know that because men, when they reach into their kids, there's over a 70% chance that their kids are going to follow dad's faith, his faith walk, his practices. When mom does it, it's really important. It's super important, right? But it's only in the 20s, a 20% chance. What is it, right? Like, what is it about the persona of a man that strength? Like, that's not of me, right? Because I can be just as much of a turd, right? And so the idea that our kiddos are looking at what dad does. I now have to watch how I walk more specifically and more intentionally because I know, wow, I carry some weight here. And actually I love it now. I love it because I have purpose.
Yeah.
I have purpose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So speaks to what you said there.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of what you're saying, I think that we are, even biblically, we are people of order.
Yeah.
In sports.
Yeah.
Okay? A football team, and I had this with a conversation with a coach, we were kind of going wayward as a team. And he would walk by me. I'm doing body weights on a Friday morning. So on Friday mornings, I would weigh the guys. I was part of weighing the guys in. Guys weighed in every Friday morning in the NFL during the season.
Wow.
So he'd walk by and weigh the cafeteria, and he would give me, it's biblical, it's order. I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean it's order? What do you mean we're going wayward? And his point is that there's order in everything we do, meaning that in the home, it's the dad, the mom, and the kids. In a football team, it's the head coach, position coach. And when you get out of order, when your son or daughter tries to do your role or whatever that is, that's when things get messed up. And so to 100%. Your point, you as a man, you have to create the order. That's our responsibility. We create the order of the family. And like you said, they're going to follow us and lead because we are at the top. And biblically, that's what the devil tried to do. The devil tried to usurp God. He tried to, and so he got cast out. And that's ultimately what can happen is you just get cast out if you do not follow within the order.
Which that order plays into when us as men try and put ourselves in that God role, like we'll be in charge of everything. We know what's best. We know what's best for us.
And it could be yes.
Yes. Jeff, we're going to go sideways on the show. We're
not talking about the NFL anymore. We're talking about Jesus, baby.
I mean, this is the crux of all that. So when we talk on Strong Dads about the idea of what's wrong with culture, okay, it's not that we're experts or anything. It's that we've started to follow God's book, like digging in, like why, And I'm a science guy. Right? Like, and you are too, probably. I mean, we do strength coaching. It's like, I got to see some data here. Okay. Yeah. And it just becomes more and more apparent to me that the science supports so much of God's way and family and culture. Because when we mess up order, as you're speaking of, when we have dads not in the home, and now I have a 13, 14, 15-year-old boy who is now, listen, I'm not blaming him, right? Like he's jacked up on testosterone. He's all full of himself. That is the gift that God gave him in development. But now we've got to have order. Otherwise, he will put himself in God's throne.
Yes.
He'll put himself in God's throne, and he's reckless. And that's what we get, right? That's why Kyle's going to the ghetto and dealing with families with no dad and moms with 10 kids. And I'm dealing in school situations where dad pulls up with his sweet little, 18-year-old girlfriend, and he's got 4 kids already by another lady, but he's got a cool-looking truck. I'm like, what is going on here? Yeah. Okay. So, wow. Okay, we better get to your book.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Sure.
It was released yesterday, okay? Built for Winning. And so you talk about, I want to ask you first, why did you write the book? Like, I've attempted, writing books is not easy, and it's not a good way to get rich.
No.
Right? So why did you write this?
And I wrote because of an attitude of gratitude.
Okay.
I've been at the highest level. I've seen things that nobody else has seen. I've witnessed things from coaches and players that very few people can witness. And I wanted to share the information. And so what started off as a message in a church in 2003, I was giving a talk to middle-aged men about fitness. And as a coach, you always want to go into the why. Why do we do things?
Right.
Because if you let the player know why they're doing it, how it can benefit them and benefit the team, you're going to get a buy-in.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to adult men about fitness, and I was looking for that buy-in. And I found the buy-in in the Bible because it was a church group, so I went to the Bible. Luke 2:52 says that Jesus grew in stature and wisdom and in favor with God and men. So Jesus grew physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually. So, okay, that's how I can address the audience, just to let them know that, hey, it's important to exercise because you have these other areas as well. It's all important. It's not less important. So that stuck with me from 2003, and then that became. I wrote an article for a business journal that became a point. I did a chapel talk on that. I talked to coaches along the way on that. So then it became eventually, I was encouraged to write that, and that's what was the outgrowth of that, is writing that.
So you have your 4 components now, basically, that were based out of Scripture, and they are the physical. I wrote those down so I didn't forget the physical, the mental, the social, and the spiritual side of things. Very cool. All right. You got any questions about that?
Well, I think it's cool. I also want to respect your time, and I think we've dug into a lot. I think your experience in NFL is, I would imagine most guys. I know I'm intrigued. I would love to sit here and have you spill off a bunch more stories and stuff. But I think it's really cool that this conversation, and I think this speaks a lot about you, Jeff, that your experience that you have in the NFL is obviously very important, but the majority of this conversation has been focused on relationships and that authenticity that you were talking about, and in getting into your book, that the idea of the mental, the social, the spiritual, the physical aspects of your life. And I think it just says a lot about the importance of that. And speaking to our dads, like that should be hopefully the message, even though our experience, we may have been in the highest level of performance in our job. Like when it boils down to it, that order that you were talking about, I think is a great takeaway for our dads.
Yeah. Got it. We always like to put out a challenge. Okay. So what's a challenge that you have for the men that are out there listening in terms of how they do life in family, in profession, whatever it is? How would you challenge men that you see?
The first thing, when you just ask me this right now, the first challenge I see is let your family know you love them. Let them know you love them. We as human beings need to feel valued and loved. They're in war. You mentioned your sons in war. When all the odds are against you, when you're fighting a battle and all the odds are against you, soldiers will fight if they know they're loved and valued. They will fight for each other.
Absolutely.
So in the home, let your wife, let your kids know you love them.
Great.
You're going to have to love yourself as well.
Yeah.
And that it starts with you.
Yeah.
And so you may have to take a while to get there. And some of the things we talked about can help you can help you get there.
Yeah.
And if you're not there. And the book I wrote may help you get there if you need to.
Yeah.
But that's the first thing that came to my mind.
I love it. Yeah.
And also, be present in the home. The weight room, by nature of you do an exercise, then you rest. The weight room creates moments.
Mm-hmm.
It's been said there's 20,000 moments in a waking day. And you only register the positive and the negative. The neutral don't register. So I think as a dad, when you're in the home, there's moments all around you, and you have to have the courage, the antenna has to be up to capitalize on the moments to build into your family.
Yeah.
So for me, it may look like, okay, I have to get off the phone because my daughter is sitting right here and wants a hug. Or, whatever. There's 100 examples, but realize the moments they're there, and you can capitalize them to build into. So that's a challenge as well. And then if I can give a third challenge, I'm rolling.
Do it.
So there's 4 blocks, as I mentioned, and if I was going to go biblically, those are the 4 areas that Jesus grew.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a template that appears to be a good template to follow.
Yeah. The science backs it up.
The science backs up. So Jesus, that scripture was written when Jesus was 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing is mentioned about him until age 30.
Right.
So Jesus was growing in those areas over 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was game on.
Yeah.
He had 3 years of attacks from the devil, boom, everything. It was game on. But then through his ministry, he still reverted to those 3 areas. He ate food from the land, healthy food. He walked, exercised, physical, social. He had 12 disciples, human beings that relationships, loving, compassion. There's a social. The mental, he knew Scripture. The devil tempted him with Scripture, but he was able to combat it. So he connected with God. He had set a time. He set time for God. There's that spiritual. Yeah. So I talked about I hit all 4 areas. Yeah. So that's a template that we should follow. And so the challenge would be identify in your life what are those areas that maybe you need to shore up as a man. Yeah. And work on that. Shoring
them up, and then the ongoing maintenance of those.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
like that's the thing, the ongoing maintenance, and those become the virtuous lifestyle, right? Yeah. Like, okay, so now I'm going to live a life then that has those pillars of my life. So
can I piggyback off that?
I said pillars.
Yeah. So you said live a virtuous life, and I want to communicate that the Bible says that not one heart is good.
Yeah.
We all have a bad heart, which means we're all going to fail.
Yep.
Yeah. We're all going to sin. We're all going to do wrong. But there's a way out. When you mess up, you fess up. Yep. So as a man, when you make a mistake, go back and admit your mistake.
Yeah.
To your wife. Yeah. There's been times when I've argued with my wife in front of the kids. We reconciled through, owning up. Hey, I'm sorry, and I'll go back to my kids and say, hey, just so you guys know, I was wrong on that, and I apologized, and that's how we came to a reconciliation.
Yeah.
So when you mess up, you fess up, because we're all going to make mistakes. I make mistakes daily as a father, as a husband, as a coach.
Yeah.
So, yes, try to lead that virtuous life.
Yeah.
But when you don't adhere to the standard that you're setting for yourself, there's a way out.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as...
Well, we're not in the Old Testament anymore. We're in the New Testament. The New Testament is Jesus' grace, right? That we are not good enough, right? But to continue to live in a way that builds into other people, builds into yourself in a positive way. But you're not going to be perfect. Like I have a phrase when I work with the men that I work with. We have to practice catching ourselves before other people catch us. In other words, if I'm driving down the road and a police officer has to catch me speeding, I've got trouble in my life now. Right. But if I'm driving down the road and I look at my speedometer and go, I need to catch myself, I got no problems, right? And so that whole idea of training ourselves to catch ourselves before others have to catch us, all right? And that's just that whole idea. Own it. Admit you screwed up, and more. We've done a ton of shows on that. Just that whole idea of own it is so hard. Yeah. We got to wrap it up. You got to hit the road.
I know, Jeff. You got to let all our Strong Days out there know. Let them know where they can get a hold of your book, or is it on what platforms is it?
Yeah, there's a website built for. It's a number 4 because there's 4 blocks.
Okay.
builtforwinning.com, and then I do have a personal website, jefffriday.com.
Okay.
I do have a short email series. It's a 4-week email series, so someone can get the email series, still get benefit, but then it will give them a precursor to what's in the book.
Okay.
So
I will put those links in the show notes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that people can click on those. So we're going to wrap things up. I thank you so much for your time. I thank you for sharing the stories and just the wisdom of walking through the path that you have. I think that's so cool. I think it's so important that especially you young, strong dads out there, that you just hear some of these messages. It's not that everybody around this table knows it all. It's just that we're walking and stumbling and learning and trying to impart some of that. So, please listen, take it in. It's good stuff.
Yep. Jeff, thanks so much for being here. Crimer's Beer House, Casey Outdoor Solution, thanks for coming alongside of us. Really do appreciate it. Go out there, share this show with any dads out there that you think need to hear this message. If you're someone who needs to hear this, coming right alongside Merle and I, messing stuff up, trying to get better, trying to be better dads for our kids out there, trying to be better husbands for our wives. So, Jeff, thanks so much for being on here, man. I really do appreciate it. Go out there and be some strong dads.
Casey's is a premier garden center and gift shop located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Casey's offers a wide selection of plants, landscaping materials, home and garden decor, and gifts for every occasion. Casey's is committed to providing exceptional service, a unique shopping experience, and value to every customer. Stop in and see what makes Casey's so unique. Located at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, or call 812-537-3800. Let Casey's help you add beauty to your home.